Bickley and Maluach Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
If Khaman Maluach is the man and the break the Suns have been waiting for, if he represents the first step in a long journey back to competitive relevance, we will all remember and cherish that magical moment when he became part of our future while wearing a Rockets hat. The NBA is too smart for such stupidity, and I beg Adam Silver to change this stupid draft hat policy as soon as possible. But quibbles aside, the Suns hit a home run with their number 10 pick. Maluach has world-class length. He's 7'2" with a 7'7" wingspan. His standing reach is 9 feet 6 inches, which means he's almost big enough to dunk a basketball while standing still. Better yet, he plays big. He's surprisingly fluid and skilled, and most basketball experts assumed he would be long gone when the Suns were picking at number 10. Now, I don't think the trade for Mark Williams was very good or necessary after Maluach fell into their laps, but I don't hate it all that much either, and I think that trade was already done, and when Charlotte saw Maluach slipping to Phoenix, they called in the trade immediately before the Suns could change their minds. So I'm not going to lose my mind over that, because for a free-falling team in a credibility crisis, the Suns finally gave their fan base a hint of hope and something to cheer about, especially if Khaman turns out to be uncommonly good. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW. Make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I mean, I'm here representing the whole continent. Living Africa, I had the whole continent on my back, giving hopes to young kids, inspiring young kids and the next generation of African basketball.
Khaman Maluach on the ESPN Draft Show last night talking about representing the entire continent of Africa. One of 3 Duke players drafted in the top 10 last night. That doesn't happen a lot. Rutgers didn't get a 3rd player taken. Can I tell you a funny story from the draft show last night? So Ace Bailey goes number 5, and I made, of course, the obvious comment. I was like, wow, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, Rutgers, 15 and 17 last year? How does that happen? And without blinking, Gambo said, how did the Phoenix Suns win 36 games with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker?
Yeah, it's a good point.
And I could only respond with touche.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point.
I mean, the Duke didn't win the title with 3 top 10 picks.
Well, they made it to the Final Four.
There was some weirdness on that Rutgers team, though. I don't think those two guys really vibed all that well together.
Well, I personally didn't think their play styles really complemented one another. I think Dylan Harper's a very downhill guard that kind of looks to pass second, and Ace Bailey, as soon as he gets the ball, it's going up.
Yeah, right. It's pretty much going up. That's exactly right. So yeah, look, I think this is a really a good deal for the Phoenix Suns. I think that I think the fan base, Suns fans, don't need a lot to get back on the train. And I don't know if this is enough to do it, but at least in my mind, this is the step in the right direction. Because, keep in mind, we had a general manager in James Jones who, while he did a lot of really good things, he also didn't take the slam dunk when it was given to him in Tyrese Halliburton.
True.
And that's what I was thinking. Is like, if they knew they had the Mark Williams trade already in place, was there any logic to passing on Maluach, or was it like they just couldn't do that?
I don't think they could. That guy was so clearly the best center available that you would have been dumb to pass on it.
Yep.
That's what I'm getting to.
Here's Brian Gregory, the general manager, after the draft last night, what they like about Maluach.
Yeah, obviously very, very excited about this evening with Khaman. We had a great talk with him afterwards. You know, one of the things that was really important to us was the organizational piece that we had heading into it. We had a lot of different options, a lot of different things going on, but to come away with a young talent like him, comes from a great program, well coached at Duke, very versatile. You know, last year we were, I think, 27th in rim protection. So he brings a great defensive presence for us. We were also, I think, last in the league in our effectiveness around the rim and our ability to score at the rim. And he's definitely proven himself in 1 year of college of being able to do that.
Yeah, Brian Gregory hit on something at the end of, and we talked about this on the draft show too, is one of the frustrations Suns fans have had for the last 2 seasons, whether it was Yusuf Nurkic or Mason Plumlee or Nick Richards, bigs getting the ball at the rim and not being able to finish
how about it?
For whatever reason. You want to talk about improving in an area? Not only with the Maluach acquisition through the draft, he dunks everything around the rim.
Yeah, he does.
Over
everything.
Like 60% of his baskets were dunks last year. It's not all he can do, but he flushes it. Mark Williams is the same way.
Maluach also shoots 76% from the free throw line,
which is a big stat that jumps off the page because it portends
to some touch,
growth to the to the shooting touch, and maybe even out to 3-point range.
Exactly.
And it's just going to be nice that if he does get fouled, you have some confidence in him knocking down his free throws.
Brian Scalabrine, former Celtics player who does a show with Frank Isola, he told an anecdote when he met Khaman recently. He couldn't believe how far away he stood from him when he reached out to shake his hand. It's like, you should not be able to shake my hand from where you're standing.
Well, the standing
That's how
reach
rangy
is
this kid is.
Over 9 feet
Right.
standing reach.
Right.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Biggest winners of round 1. ESPN's Jonathan Givony. Phoenix Suns. The Suns trade for Kevin Durant looks much different after the fall of Maluach to number 10, which helps Phoenix strengthen a crucial position at center while also adding one of the most talented long-term prospects in the draft. Maluach will bring high-level intensity, rim protection, timing, rebounding ability, and switchable defense, qualities the team lacked last season, injecting much-needed youth and energy into a roster overloaded in the backcourt. So,
and if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see Jeremy Wu.
Jeremy Wu said, the question was, what was the best pick of the night? He said, assuming Cooper flagged on the Mavericks at number 1 is ineligible for this designation, I'll go with Khaman Maluach at number 10, a pick Givony explained above. It was a terrific outcome for Phoenix, and he might be the exact type of player they need to anchor whatever the team is going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's a rare good moment in a season when we haven't had a lot of them.
Yeah, and there's a lot being made about just his story, his journey. Here's Bobby Marks on the ESPN draft show.
We're talking about him on the court, but certainly as a human being here. And when you look at what he's been able to do, certainly at last year at Duke, but the one story that keeps on sticking out, and he's playing against Team USA, Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid, and seeing his mom, who he hasn't seen in years, walk down that aisle. And it wasn't those two players that intimidated him. It was that seeing his mom in the stands here, and truly one of the great stories of this year's draft.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a favorite pretty quick. Suns big night, and big being the operative word as they add not only Khaman Maluach, but trade for Mark Williams over 14 feet of center.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.